Hello, boys and girls. I'm here in the Kibbutz Yehiam, and I'm with Rina Gal, who I understand is one of the founder members of the Kibbutz. And Rina is 5 years old. Okay, so hello, Rina. I'm very pleased to meet you. Kibbutz Yehiam is the only kibbutz that I know of that has its own Crusader fort built in. Unbelievable. All over Judea, Palestine, and later on, during the total of 200 years of the Crusaders in Israel, they established forts at high points all over the place to defend the different Crusader kingdoms, whether they were the Knights of the Templar or other knights. And here we have a classic Crusader fort. This is the entrance gate. Here the archers, and fully, well, not fully, but preserved and partially restored. So welcome into the fortress of Yehiam. Here at the top of Yehiam fortress, let me point out that this was where the first settlement group of the Haganah, the Palmach, that settled here, and they lived here actually in the fortress from 1946 for the first 2 years. But then it was discovered that by living here there was an infection spread probably by lice. Maybe it was some type of lung disease or something like that. And when they found out that in fact it wasn't healthy living here, they moved out of here and started living and founding the kibbutz down below here. And if the cameraman would please pan around from the Lebanese border, that hill over there, if you can see in the very distance there's an antenna which is probably one of our forward defense listening and observation sites, and then you go down to the end of that ridge line to Rosh HaNikra, the most northwestern point of Israel. And also, Rina, can you tell me?
Rina Gal is the oldest member of the kibbutz. She is one of its founding members in 1946. She arrived here as part of an Israeli settlement group, a Garin, which had combined with another Garin of Holocaust survivors from Hungary. The kibbutz movement had suggested this isolated spot in upper western Galilee overlooking the city of Nahariya. There were no other Jewish villages or kibbutzim in this district. The Jewish National Fund had bought the land, which was a derelict Crusader Castle. There was no cultivatable or arable land. There was no fresh water, and this founding group also needed an income. They made money for the first few years by dividing themselves into two groups. All the men lived in the castle, while the women lived in Kiryat Chaim down on the coast in the Haifa Bay district. The women worked in different jobs and the men worked in the road building. That's how they made their money to survive. But they had a problem of communicating between the two groups, one up in the mountains and the other down in the Haifa Bay district. They overcame this by keeping in daily contact by Morse code. They even had group meetings using Morse code. They used Morse code to make major decisions about their kibbutz over long distance by casting votes. Their other problem was that there was a health issue of living in a derelict castle. Kibbutz members fell ill with cave fever. They moved out of the castle into tents. This was followed by erecting the first buildings below the fortress. Then there was the next problem. The War of Independence broke out in 1948. Yehiam came under attack by the Palestinian Liberation Army. This was a regular force of trained Syrian troops under their military leader Fawzi el-Kawuchi. This was a very difficult period for the kibbutz. Many members fell in battle. Yehiam came under siege for more than a year and a half. Rina herself was involved in the defense of the kibbutz for part of the time. It was only after Kawuchi was defeated and driven from the Galilee that the two groups, one up in the mountains, one down in the Bay District, the two groups of Yehiam reunited. Also, many local inhabitants of that region had fled after Kawuchi's defeat, fearing retribution. As such, Yehiam was free to start proper development and growth as a kibbutz. Since there was no arable land near the fortress, the Jewish National Fund allocated them land for farming in remote districts. Rina herself became a history teacher after the war. She and her late husband had two daughters. Nowadays, she has two granddaughters living in Yehiam and has great-grandchildren, one of whom, a great-grandson, is presently serving in the Israel Defense Force. She told me she preferred the old, traditional style of kibbutz before they privatized, but she understood the need for change. As she said, otherwise it would have become an old age home. The change, the reformation and the privatization have attracted sons and daughters of the kibbutz to return to Yehiam. They regard Yehiam as their home. She told me that as a pensioner, she manages very well on her pension and can even save money every month. Her home is legally registered on her name. That means she can bequeath it to one member of her multi-generational family.
אוקיי, רינה גל, תודה רבה.
בבקשה.
I'm breathless. Okay, we're here, part which was converted later into a mosque. Shall we go out here onto this veranda?
Yep.
Wow. Fantastic here. Well, I'm still here in this beautiful kibbutz of Yehiam, in here now with a young man. His name is Itai Gavish. I've been told he's 32, And he looks to be like a teenager as far as I'm concerned. And hello, Gavi, Itai. Pleased to meet you. My name is Ivri. I'd like to ask you a few questions. Itai, what is your work in the kibbutz?
Okay. Now I work with my father in an electrician.
Both of you are the electricians of the kibbutz.
Yeah, my father is electric man of the kibbutz.
Yes.
And before that, my grandfather was electrician of the kibbutz.
That interruption was the cat jumping up on the other guy who's here. Never mind, we'll make it out in the editing, we'll see. Okay. So, you're a third generation electrician.
Yep.
So, electricity is in your blood. Okay. And your grandfather still alive?
No.
Okay. Okay, so I'll get back to the question, and in fact, I'll let Itai talk freer in Hebrew. I'll ask him the question: How did you feel? How did you feel when all of your friends, when your teenage friends, when they left the kibbutz? You can answer me in Hebrew.
Itai told me that when he was a teenager, most of his friends left the kibbutz with their parents. Only a handful of his friends remained together with him. He told me that the big city wasn't for him. At heart, he's a nature boy. He likes the quiet and serenity of the kibbutz. He likes the rural atmosphere up in the western Galilee mountains overlooking the sea, the fresh air and the breeze. Nowadays, he gets together with his friends at the weekends and during festival times. They keep close contact. They enjoy the togetherness of community living out in the fresh air up in the hills. Following high school, like many young kibbutzniks, he volunteered for a year of public service. Despite not liking town life, he spent a year in Tel Aviv working as a youth counselor in the Hashomer Hatzair youth movement. He told me that when he first arrived in Tel Aviv, he could hardly breathe because of traffic pollution. He didn't like the noise of the city. It wasn't for him. However, he pushed on and persevered. I asked how he adjusted to city life in Tel Aviv after the kibbutz. At the beginning, it took him a few days to fit in and to acclimatize to the air in the town. He said that he lived together with other youth leaders as a town commune, and that by doing this he managed socially and financially. After 1 year of voluntary work with the youth movement, he was drafted into the Israel Defense Force, the IDF. He served 3 years in a combat unit. Following that, he went south to the tourist town of Eilat on the Red Sea. He worked there for 3 years in security and occasionally took trips abroad. He then returned home to Yehiam for 1 year. This was followed by 3 years university study for his first degree in the history and geography of Israel. Having got his degree, he then ventured out into the world like many post-army young Israelis backpacking. He trekked around South America. Being a mountain man at heart, he climbed in the Swiss Alps and even got up to base camp on Mount Everest. This brought him up to the year when Corona prevented him from continuing his travels. So about 3 or 4 years ago, he came home to Yehiam. At that point, he decided to join, let's say, the family business. He learned the basics of electrical work from his father and is now studying for his second degree in electrical engineering. So today, he and his father are Yehiam's electricians. And of course, being in a 24/7 society, Sometimes they may be called at the most inconvenient hours, but that's what it's like living in a community like a kibbutz.
I live on my own, in my own
So you're,
apartment,
you're still a bachelor now?
yes.
Okay.
And
Well, you know, maybe via YouTube, you're becoming a famous YouTube star. We'll find a good woman for you. You never know.
welcome.
You never know.
And
I mean, if there's anybody out there, a good-looking girl who's free, who wants to find a nice guy as a partner, as a boyfriend, maybe as a husband, future family, if there's anybody out there, I highly recommend Itai Gavish from Kibbutz Yehiam. Come on, girls, come and grab him.
so,
I want to finish this in English, so after editing I can put it together in English. Itai and his cat, you must take a photo of this cat. This is some special cat. He's very friendly with Itai, but he attacks strangers. He's a mountain cat, a mountain lion or something.
dog cat, yeah.
And you have to be very careful with this Moggy. Okay, so I'm going to say thank you. Face the camera, please. Hey, you, I'm talking to you. No, he doesn't want to face me. Okay, I'm going to thank Itai and make sure that the cat doesn't bite me. He's biting his owner. Look at him.
But
He's a bit of a wild,
but
he's a bit of a wild mountain cat. This one, he really is. I mean,
bite
you know,
her.
where did you get him? Where did he come from? Did he find you or did you find him?
find me, היא הייתה חתולה של השכנה.
Okay, he was the neighbor's cat. Look at this guy bite.
She played.
Look at those teeth on him. This is definitely a saber-toothed tiger. And there's another muggy, another one that just walked past there. Okay, all right, that's it. Thank you very much, Itai Gavish.
But before we go, I have one last question. Where did all the Crusaders go? Are they still here? There is strong evidence that the flag of St. George is still being flown at the Yehiam fortress, and that the sport of jousting has been replaced by a more popular one.
I'm here in Kibbutz Yehiam, although it may not seem like that. Look at this, the Leeds Football Club, Leeds United, Yehiam Whites. All right, please turn around with the flag and I'll see what's on your back. Leeds. This is a fanatical, die-hard Leeds supporter in Kibbutz Yehiam. Now tell me, why? How did you start to be a Leeds supporter?
Oh, long story. Cut it short. Well, I'm not that young as them.
You're an old guy. I know
55,
you're
yeah.
55 years old, but
back
you
in-
look very young. Okay.
Back in 1978, I was watching them on telly against Liverpool,
Aha.
and I fell in love.
With
immediately
Leeds.
with Leeds.
Yeah, not with Liverpool. Okay.
Was it 45 years ago? And still going. I've been to Leeds quite many times now.
I see.
I've been to matches. I've been a VIP. The club has invited me.
Well, how did they invite you as a VIP? You're just a kibbutznik like everybody else.
I'm a kibbutznik who wrote the Hebrew version on Wikipedia about the club.
Really?
Yeah.
My God.
So they were excited.
There'll be Leeds fans and supporters all over the world. Pleased to hear that you are flying the flag of Leeds United in Israel in a kibbutz.
Marching on together.
Marching on together. Well, whatever. I don't know.
We're gonna see you win. We are so proud. We're shouting out.
And
loud.
how many Leeds games have you watched live?
Hundreds,
Hundreds, really?
more.
My God.
I mean, you mean on telly?
No, not on television, live, apart from the television.
In Leeds, you mean?
In Leeds.
I've been in Leeds. I've been in 5 matches.
Wow.
5 matches, and
Okay.
it's my second home.
Your
Home
second.
away from home.
Okay, a home from home.
Elland Road is the temple.
I see. All right. Well, this is absolutely marvelous. You fly the flag. You support Leeds. My goodness.
Oh, Leeds, aren't we?
Is there a
Leeds, aren't
Leeds
we?
supporters club in Israel?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we
Are you the president?
We got a huge group on Facebook.
Yeah.
More than 2,000 members.
Wow.
Yeah.
My goodness me. Well, a good friend of mine who lives in Ann Arbor outside of Detroit, he will be very pleased to hear about this.
So there in the bottom, Yehiam Whites.
Yes.
So everybody out there, you know, is
Whites.
supporting
Yeah,
from Western Galilee to West Yorkshire.
I see.
We are all
Okay.
Leeds.
Well, do you have anything final to say to the Leeds supporters in Israel and around the world?
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
All right. Thank
We've
you.
just been relegated to the championship, but we'll be back. Before I can say Jack Robinson.
Okay, well, thank you very much. You have been my organizer for interviewing all of the people in the Kibbutz Yehiam, and it's been a fantastic day.
You're welcome.
Okay.